Hello, my name is Chris Brown. I am the owner of Pixel Law, which is a virtual law firm based in Boulder, Colorado. I work with startups, freelancers, lots of creative professionals, and I spend a ton of time working in contracts. So I've started using Rally's Spellbook software, and it's just super cool. And I wanted to show you some of the stuff that I found. Now, I am an advisor to Rally, but they're not paying me to make these videos. This is just me doing this because I think it's super cool, and I want to show off some of the cool stuff that I've discovered. Okay, let's start with something pretty simple here. This is like a letter agreement. A client might send something like this to me. I just made this sample here for this video. But I might get an agreement like this and I say, well, that's just super short. We should add more. We should do a formal agreement. But, I don't always get to do what I think is the legal best thing to do because sometimes, a client doesn't want that. So maybe I just want to add in some additional provisions to make this a little bit better for my client. So maybe I want to add in entire agreement, no assignment, and governing law. So if I give Spellbook this prompt and I do the little 3+ sign thing, it just starts drafting. And sometimes it gives me something that's just spot on. Sometimes it gives me something that's really wild because that's just the way AI works. Right now it's just so brand new, but let's just see what it gave me. This agreement contains the entire understanding of the parties with respect to the subject matter and supersedes all prior and contemporaneous agreements and understandings. That's a very typical entire agreement provision. That's wonderful. This agreement may not be assigned by a client without the prior written consent of consultant. That's cool. It's unilateral, so it's not a mutual assignment. But hey, that's actually probably good for my client if my client is Jane Smith down here, the person that's making the agreement. And then it goes on to say this agreement shall be covered by the laws of the state of Colorado. That's super cool, and I assume, I'm not a developer here, but I assume that is pulling from the fact that this is addressed to somebody in the state of Colorado. So maybe that's good, maybe it's not. I think it depends on where Jane lives, right? So these are some judgment calls that a lawyer would make, but hey, it just drafted this language nearly perfectly. Let's just do it again, see what it comes up with a second time. Okay, this agreement along with exhibits attachments constitutes the entire agreement. Again, I mean, it's worded differently, but it captures the correct legal intent. This agreement cannot be assigned by either party. Okay, so this time it did a mutual anti-assignment, which is more likely what I would want. And then once again, governed by state of Colorado. Oh, and this time it even went so far as to say we'll use courts located in Boulder, Colorado. That's wonderful. Again, wonderful if that's the state that we want, and maybe it is, maybe it's not. But the fact that it's pulling in information from other areas of the agreement is just super cool. All right, let's look at another example. So here we've got a client agreement between NewCo, the service provider, and the Jane Doe agency, who is the client. Now, normally the client is going to want to own everything that the service provider, in this case NewCo, creates. But let's just say that that doesn't work here for some reason. So the parties say, okay, well, NewCo will retain ownership of its work product and intellectual property, but it will grant a license to the client to use it. So, I can come down here, I can delete the original language that was actually already here, and I can use Spellbook's directed draft feature over here to tell it what I want it to say for me. So I'm just going to paste in this thing I just typed up. It says a provision in which NewCo will retain the work product and IP and will grant the client a license to use it. So it's drafting language. Let's just see what it comes up with. All right, so NewCo shall retain all right, title, interest to its works, and it even defines it as the work product. It's just so cool that this software can do that. So it defines the phrase work product. I'm assuming it uses it. Let's see, NewCo hereby grants the client a non-exclusive, non-transferable, right to use the work product solely for its internal business operations. It's so cool. It gives limitations. Like it describes the type of license, non-exclusive, non-transferable. It even goes on to have a limitation here for its own internal business operations. It's so cool. Not really sure what all this is. Sometimes it spits out additional language, but in either of them, we could just delete it, and that. I mean, that's good. I'm trying to think of what else I would need to put in there, but let's just try it again. Let's literally just cast it again. So it's going to do the drafting based on the exact same prompt that I just gave it. Let's just see what it comes up with. All right, quite a bit more this time. NewCo shall own all right, title, interest to IP it creates. Again, it defines as the work product. That's cool. The client shall own all right, title, interest. Provides. Oh, so this time it gave a sentence that says the client will basically continue owning their own work product. And then it goes on to say, NewCo hereby grants the client a non-exclusive. Again, like almost the same sentence, but it does exactly what I asked it to do. That's so cool. It even added in this extra bit about the client IP. Maybe I care about that. Maybe I don't. I don't know. I can obviously just delete it. And then it gives me this other stuff down here too. Sometimes it gives me stuff down here that's like super relevant. Sometimes it gives me stuff that's just not relevant. Neither of it, I can just delete it. So there you go. I mean, I might edit this a little bit, but that's pretty close. And I'm also seeing, I drafted some text for you, but I can keep going. Would you like me to continue? That's new. One of the cool things is every time I open Spellbook, they've got some new feature in here. It's just so cool. They're constantly updating this. Sure. What happens if I click yes? Oh, was I highlighted on that? It looks like it just redid it. Anyway, they're constantly adding cool stuff over here. So that's just awesome. I cannot get over how awesome this software is. It's not always perfect by any means, but it's like what, 3 months old. So it's just so cool. All right, there you go. Those are just two simple examples of how this software is just very cool. And the fact that it's only like 3 months old and can already do all that stuff is amazing. And like I said a second ago, the fact that every time I open Spellbook, there's new stuff in there. It's just so much fun. It's so much fun to play around with, and I could totally see how, in the not too distant future, this is going to be a part of my daily contract workflow. It's just so cool. Anyway, I'll make a few more videos coming up here soon, and if you have any comments, questions, feel free to put them down there in the comment section, or you can also tweet at me at the Pixel Lawyer. All right, thanks.